Hi everyone, it's David. I want to tell another story. I might be one of the earliest known possibilities of teacher molestations that have been ever, lack of a better word, recorded history. Let me rephrase that. Attempted molestations. This happened way back in 1981. Now, the teacher's name, I'm just going to rename her Mrs. So and So. I will tell where exactly it did take place. Um, Her real name, I would assume she's passed on, died. Her name will be revealed in the book I'll release maybe next year. I assume she's dead by now. Um, this took place again as about summer 1981. I was in fourth grade, 9 years old, and I was I don't know about today, but way back then you were it's what's called a teacher's pet or favorite student. I did my schoolwork where everybody else, some of the students were the class clowns, didn't care to be in school, and I did my classwork, and a teacher took a favor upon me and liked having me around. A favorite student, teacher's pet, they used to be call it. Well, where this took place was the Norristown Area School District, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Um, we were originally we were both Mrs. So and So and I were in Paul Fly Elementary School, but um, she was transferring to another school which is now torn down called Burnside Elementary, and this gets really interesting. And if anybody wants to hear what the exact molestation was, it's coming. It's if you want to lack of saying the juicy parts, or it's coming soon. I had to get the details out. Um, she was transferring from Paul Fly Elementary to Burnside Elementary, and because I was one of her favorite students, the teacher's pet, she approached my parents directly. She came to our apartment and sat down on the couch and met with my parents. I sat on the couch next to her. She put her arm around the back of my shoulder, saying he's my favorite student and I'm transferring to another school. I just need parental permission. And my parents had no problem with this. I never no problem with this. And she said, "Don't worry about anything. I'll take care of the paperwork." Yeah, we never talked to office, principal, paperwork, no, nothing. If my parents signed the permission to do this of any paperwork, I never saw it. Well, we transferred to Burnside Elementary. Now, the physical situations, I'm not sure which happened first. Um, the There was a drive home. Now, I say again, I don't know which took place first. The attempted molestation happened in class. There was another physical contact. Say again, I don't know which happened first. She was driving me home from school, and she had her both her hands on the steering wheel, and I sat in the passenger seat. Well, very slowly she took her right hand off the steering wheel and put it on my left thigh. Now it may have been a vague like massage, like kind of grabbing my thigh, like a very vague massage, squeezing her hands around my thigh. It wasn't much. It didn't move to my genitals at all, but it's physical contact with a 9-year-old. Um, Now the other part. We now in Burnside Elementary, and then one thing I remembered, I don't know if the classrooms, since it's torn down, I doubt there was a remodel back in 1981. The classrooms were in a triangle formation, and there were door to door. There was one door in like it was a good distance. I can't even measure it in feet. There was two doors. Oh man, I'd say what 25, 50 feet across, and we were by, now here's another clue. Here doesn't make any sense. We were by ourselves. Now, it may have been school class have been over with, or it was in a recess. I don't know. All I know is she and I were by ourselves in the classroom. And did not notice that she went to one of the doors and turned a small latch. Would be, what would you call a deadbolt? There was a very tiny latch, not like a deadbolt you have on our home door. It wasn't a heavy lock, but it was a small latch and a doorknob. Why there were, back in 1981, why they're locking latches on a classroom door? Why you would lock the door at all? But there was a small, very tiny latch. She closed it. Now I don't know if maybe she had locked the other door, or I did not notice she locked the second door. Well, she sat down. I don't know whether I'm doing classwork. It's strange that we were I'm by ourselves. She sat down at her desk, and she calls my name. Dave, would you mind coming over, please? I looked up. I'm not sure why. So I got up and off out of my desk, walked over to the side of the desk, and she's, come over closer. And she was sitting where she had a blouse on, a button-down blouse, and a skirt. No, it was like a skirt that would go down to her knees. So it was like I wouldn't say a full-length skirt that would go down to your ankles. No, it went down to her knees. So it's not like a mini skirt. I'm not sure what the color was, but as I came closer to where her chair is, one of her hands was on the top button. Now, she may have been 3, 4, 5 buttons on the shirt, maybe on the blouse, and she started unbuttoning her blouse. And I think she was beginning the second button and going down to the third button, and she took my hand. She with her hand, she very gently took my hand, and she was down to a third or fourth blouse button, and you could see a black lacy bra appear. This is where the molestation gets juicy, but it's not much. She takes her hand, pulls me toward her. I didn't have to walk further closer to her, so my legs are up against, almost like my legs are in front of her, because her sitting down and her legs down to touching the floor. Now my legs are almost against her feet, her shoes. And she pulls my hand, and she's down to the fourth, closer to the fifth button. Pulls my hand almost. She pulls the lapel, I guess, the corner each side of the blouse. She pulls it open, and you could see her skin chest. She pulls my hand, and I make it to no more than, 2 inches, inch and a half, to her chest, her bare chest. Now, you can see the black lacy bra. Did I notice her breast? No, just her upper skin of her chest. And she pulled my hand close. I was almost within like a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch to her chest, and I pulled away. Why is she having me physically want to touch her body? And I was so shook. I jerked my hand away, and she attempted to grab my wrist, but I then pulled away a second time. She wasn't holding me that hard, because when she was guiding my hand to her chest. I pulled away, and her hand went to kind of grab my wrist, not to allow me to run away, but she wasn't holding my wrist hard enough, and I ran to one of the corner doors. I turned the knob, the door wasn't opening, and I started shaking the door. And I couldn't tell, but by the time she got to the door to try to she was attempting to settle me down, because I was shook up and I'm getting upset. I could tell, I remember all the buttons on her blouse are now rebuttoned. This is her words. David, wait, shh, calm down, please calm down. Her eyes looked like she was about to cry. Her um, like her face either went from blush red to like skin tone, like the blood is draining from her face. She's scared. Says, calm down, please, please, calm down. I'm sorry. Here's the next words that I'll most remember. David, please, you can't tell anybody what happened here. We will get in trouble. Quote unquote, I remember writing that in the book. We will get in trouble. I just shook my head back and forth, like in a no. What I meant was I didn't say any words. I shook my head no, as okay, I agree with you. I won't tell anybody. And she unlatched the door, opened it up, and I rushed right out the door. And I think she was scared for the next couple of days. I would say anything. No, I didn't. I just forgot the whole incident. This teacher wanted me to feel her up and touch her breasts. A 9-year-old, a boy. Oh, boy. You know, I have to bring up something my father once said, pervertedly. And later on, when I was an adult, he would say to me, make sure if you're with a girl, make sure she's 18 or older. That way it's not statutory rape if you do anything sexually. He made sure any girl I was with was 18 or above. That's one thing he was adamant about. However, I recall one vague moment. He said, if you're with an older woman, and he didn't say teacher, but he said, if you're with an older woman, score if you can. Oh my God, that's so perverted. I mean, now in the past couple of years, they in this and when I first heard the term rape by a female teacher, you have to bring up Mary Kay Letourneau and how the court deemed it raping a student. A female teacher rapes a student, has sexual contact with somebody a student and under 18. And that student was like 13, 14 years old. I'm 9 years old. What would have happened if I did say something? Well, again, this is 1981. I'm in 4th grade. And in the next day's classes, and from the end till the end of from 4th and then finishing Burnside Elementary with the 5th grade, I never made eye contact, and she never called me. I was never by myself with her again. I believe we finished 5th grade, and I never I was done with Mrs. So and so. That would not be the last time I see her again. Again, I'm in the 4th grade, and several school changes occur, and that's in another video. I moved school to school to school in other situations, and you can see that video. I survived 10 different school buildings. I would see her in 8th grade, 4 years later, Eisenhower Junior High School, and I'm not even sure what class I'm in, what teacher it was, but the teacher, a male's teacher, said, it wasn't our actual teacher. I think our teacher was out. I had no idea why, but one of the teachers, maybe it may have been somebody from the office, said we have a substitute teacher while their current teacher's out for some reason, and we all look up. It's Mrs. So-and-so again. She's smiling. I don't think she noticed me at first. I quickly saw her. And we were doing our classwork, but I did look up. She may have noticed me because I looked during class. My head looked up right from the desk to her desk, and we made eye contact. Her face turned ghost white. The blood drained. I'm curious when did she notice me? Maybe that was the first time she noticed me. Well, we were done eventually when the class time ended, and I remained as the students fought going out in the hallway to the next class. I At first, I stood up as everybody else left the class. All the students left the class. I first sat down. I first was standing up. Then I sat down. Then I stood up again. And her head, Mrs. So and So's head was down in she doing her own teacher paperwork, whatever it was, class plans, whatever she was doing. And I walked slowly up to her desk. I put my arms down, like in a folding pattern, down, and my head down. My head was medium to about her level, and I folded my arms and flat down to her desk. Hello. And she replied, "Hi, David." And I kind of like a sigh. It was not, I wouldn't say crying, but a sigh, like a vague. I said, I didn't tell anyone. It was almost a vagueness of like I'm going toward I'm gonna cry or something. It was like a sigh, S-I-G-H. And I said, I didn't tell anyone all these years. But all I said was I didn't tell anyone. Her eyes started flushing, ready to cry. She didn't cry. You could see her eyes were beginning to water. Thank you, David. And she, like, her voice was breaking, like she wanted to cry. I held it for all these years. And this was 1988, 8th grade. After that, as I left the classroom, I would never see her again. And all these years later, 30 plus years later, after ever I graduated high school, well, the story is out now, and her real name will be revealed in the book. Maybe I'll sell the book better. Her last name will definitely be in a book, but the first name I'm only about 80% sure was her first name, because I may have vaguely heard the teachers say their first names, and that's how I came up with the first name. I don't know if they were talking about another teacher or that was her actual name, but I definitely remember her last name. And this was a story of how I faced an attempted molestation by a teacher who favored me as a teacher's pet. Favored me enough that she wanted me to transfer her from one school building to another, and she wanted me to physically touch her breast, feel her up, a child. Imagine now I'm 16 years old. 14. Sorry, it's hard to calculate that. How do you keep the calculate? What ages you are per grade? Since you're about 15 years old going 9th grade, so I'd be 14 years old 8th grade. So between 9 years old and 14 years old, I would be in contact with this particular teacher. Have a child wanting a boy wants you to touch you. So, has to be one of the earliest known examples, reports of it. I don't know how far she would have gone if and she never repeated ever since me wanting me to touch her, or her putting her hand on my thigh, or we made contact in 8th grade. Know how further, if I had not gotten scared, how further this would have gone. I don't know. It never bothered me, but I wanted to tell the story. So thank you for listening to an attempted molestation by a 4th grade teacher when I'm 9 years old.